Welcome back, everyone. This is Rusty Ham, your co-host of Catching You. With me is my co-host, Lacey Ham. Lacey, say hi.
Hello.
And we have a special guest with us. Her name is Paige Tonz. Am I saying that right? I gotta make sure I
Yes.
said it.
Yeah, you got it right first time.
Paige, Paige, I got you. I don't know how I think it was on Facebook. Maybe it was on. I don't know how we connected. I forgot
Yeah,
how
I'm
we
not sure
connected.
either now that I'm
I
thinking
just
about that.
I saw what you do, and as a father daughter podcast, we deal with a lot of mental health issues and stuff like that. So your what you do sparked some interest in us, and so we just wanted to get you on and learn a little bit more about you. So just tell us about yourself, your athletic career, and then how you got into what you're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. So, I was a collegiate athlete. I played sports before that and then got into college and played. Like, that was my big goal and dream growing up, was to be able to go and play on like that bigger stage. And I was able to do that. I feel super lucky and blessed to have been able to have that experience. So I went and played at softball at Northwestern University, and had a really great experience there. It also came with lots of highs and lots of lows. And it's funny, like when I think back about my college experience, um, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, man, did I even have to like go through all that stuff? And it was kind of frustrating at the time, but it all led me to what I get to do today and where I'm at today. And like without those experiences, I don't think I would be as passionate as I am about what I get to do with the girls that I work with, and just like in life in general as well. But yeah, so I really struggled with my own confidence as an athlete, and more so I probably would have never said like, oh, I'm not like a confident person, or like I'm not uh, confident out on the field. It was like in those pressure moments or in my at bats, or especially after like striking out or like being in those slumps and things like that, just going in there and like really truly believing in myself. I remember being like, I don't really feel I don't really feel that confident. Like, I had a lot of self-doubt and negative talk going through my mind. I was super hard on myself too, which I think most of the girls that I end up working with or talking to that go through this experience feel the same exact way. So we must all feel this way at some point in shape or form. Um, but yeah, so I went through that college experience, graduated college, went into the real world. That, was a whole nother mental obstacle as well, trying to figure out like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life, right? And it took me 3 years, but I kind of got into some real estate stuff, which led me to the entrepreneurial world, and I got to experience some of that. And with that entrepreneurship world comes with a lot of self development and just a lot of mindset work. And I just I had this like light bulb at some point. It's like, I need to be like teaching the girls at a younger age what I kind of figured out in my senior year of college, which I had like a mindset shift. I basically like let go of all of the control that I was trying to hold on to for so long, and all this self development work and all, like, I was like, why aren't we learning this stuff earlier? Like, why aren't we getting into this earlier and learning how to create confidence and be confident earlier? So I started working with girls on the mental side of the game. It's kind of funny. I actually remember it's like, nobody's gonna like want to work with me just as a mental coach. Like, that it wasn't really a thing. Like, I mean, it wasn't a
Yeah,
big thing, that's for
yeah, it's
sure.
like imposter syndrome, right? You have the
Yeah,
imposter
I was
syndrome.
like, I
No one's gonna
really
want to listen to me.
want to just do the mindset stuff. So I was like, I remember advertising it or like marketing it as like, hey, I'm doing like hitting lessons or catching lessons. I was doing as well.
Right.
Um, and we're also gonna like, it's hitting and 20 minutes of mindset work. And it actually was so funny because I remember parents reaching out and being like, oh, we don't really need the hitting lesson. Let's just, like, I just want to do the mindset stuff. And I was like, oh, exactly what I wanted. Like, I
There you
don't
go.
know why I was thinking, oh, they won't want it. But so that, that just like kept happening and kept happening. And then I was able to start doing this full time and getting to work with girls full time on their mindset and helping them build confidence and create confidence and just like really be the best versions of themselves as an athlete, but also we have a lot more life than other than being an athlete. So yeah, so that's how I got to where I'm at today.
Yeah, very cool. So it's called Girl Athlete Confidence Coach, right?
Yeah.
And then what? Do you have a specific age group, or is this anyone that wants to kind of sign up?
Yeah.
Typically,
Um,
is it middle school, high school, college? Is it?
Definitely. I have a kind of a wide range of girls. So I have girls anywhere between 10 years old to 18. And then I've
Mhm.
also had a few college girls sprinkled in there. Like I'm actually working with a couple of college girls currently who I had before going into college, and we just kept working together through that transition as well, which has been really neat. I really love working with the college aged girls because we have really great conversation, in-depth conversation. But yeah, I have a very wide range, 10 to 18. And it's really, especially the younger girls, just kind of dependent on how competitive they are, like where they're at maturity wise. And then you get into those preteen years and it's just like all the emotions, all the things happening and changing for us. And so just getting to help and support the girls through that, all the things that are happening in life that a girl goes through is I love it. Like some people are like, I can't believe you work with girls. I can't believe you work with like teenagers and or like preteens. Like you're crazy, but I think it's so much fun. And like, I love getting to do what I do because I've been there. Like I can relate to them, and that's my favorite thing is just being able to relate to the girls and not being like, oh yeah, I'm way above this or way above you. I'm like, yeah, I've been there. Been there. I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago, but it's we're
Yeah.
getting further away.
I mean, I've talked about how important that like middle school, like going into high school age is for like young athletes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you notice most about them, like when it comes to the mental side, like the negative things and the positive things?
Yeah,
Definitely more in that age group.
definitely. So the things that I see the most that they struggle with on like mentally or like confidence wise is comparing themselves to their teammates or the other girls, or like really, really caring. Like they just like care so much about what their teammates or their friends think about them. So they're like so afraid to make mistakes or look silly or look dumb doing something. So then they don't, and they hold back from their full potential, or they play with like being hesitant and that kind of thing. So that's one of the bigger things that I see is just like that fear of looking silly, really. So that's one of the things that I see the most with that middle school going into high school. And then I feel like their confidence starts to build a little bit more once they get into the high school, especially as they get a little bit older as well too. But there's still some insecurity, I think.
And you don't just do softball, right? You do multiple sports, right? Anybody
Mhm.
who is an athlete, you work with them, right?
Yes. Yeah. I work with all athletes. I started out just softball, but I kept having families come to me with different sports and different kinds of athletes. And I was like, I mean, I feel like we go through this as different kinds of sports and stuff. So I opened it up to all different athletes. So I've been able to work with basketball players, volleyball players, softball. I've even had quite a few gymnasts, which I think is like the most mentally difficult sport there there possibly is. I've had
Right.
some swimmers. So I've had like a lot of different sports and variations of sports. So
All right. Well, let me ask you this then. So if someone comes to you, what does it look like? So someone knocks, signs up, what are they going to get from Paige, or yeah, is it module? I'm not
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Like
let's
what is
dig a
this?
little deeper on. Yeah. What does it look like when someone comes to
Yeah,
you?
what's this process look like? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely have a lot of resources at this point, and that was one of my big goals is I wanted to be able to provide some free resources to families, some definitely like lower cost, like do it yourself stuff, like being able to go in and do some trainings and things on their own. I actually just came out with a new one called failure recovery training. So I wanted to be able to put those in the family's like hands, and also just to kind of get to know me a little bit better before investing in mentorship or one-on-one work, that kind of thing. So those are all like really great first steps. But a lot of times I have moms or dads that reach out to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're struggling." It's usually when like stuff is hitting the fan and there's like they don't know what else to do, and they'll reach out, and usually it starts with a phone call. We hop on a call and just kind of get to know one another. I get to know their daughter a little bit better and just kind of find out what's happening and just seeing if it's a good fit, because I definitely want it to be a win-win for all of us. And then all like almost all of the families that come to me and all the girls that are struggling with this mental side of this, the game and competing and things like that, end up starting in my program called the Confident Athlete. It's kind of like a hybrid. It's a lot of private mentorship, but there's also group mentorship pieces in there as well. Over the years, I've kind of figured out like what works really well, how I can go really deep with the girls, but also have them be a part of a group of girls who are also very similar to them. So like my program, it's 3 months of work, and it's really just like building the foundation of mental training skills. It's understanding like their own, like who they are and what makes them tick, and understanding how they could be confident. And then we're talking about like the actual skills like breathing and visualization and lots of thought work, and then we put them into action, like how do we use different routines, like a pre-hitting routine or a pre-game routine, to mentally prepare and feel as confident as we can going into whatever it is that they're doing. Even if it's like a presentation in school, like I always got nervous, like presenting in front of all my peers and that kind of thing. But really just going in and like putting those tools into action and into place, and practicing that confidence. So that's kind of the process. A lot of that is one-on-one sessions with me, and then I have a group of girls called my girl gang. We basically like twice a month we get together, and we like tonight we'll be meeting, and it's like a group mindset lesson. Like it's additional to what they're learning in the Confident Athlete, but I have different topics and things that go beyond what we're just talking about in the Confident Athlete. So just like if you were to go to like group hitting lessons, yeah, or like any lesson or any like camp or clinic, it's like for mindset lessons. Like it's stuff to work on your mindset. It's a space where they can actually work through what's going on like mentally and mindfully. So but yeah, that's the Confident Athlete. So I have a lot of like, that's always like where we start. It builds that foundation, it builds the fundamentals, and then after that we can always talk about like working with me more consistently. I've had some of my girls I've had like for 3 or 4 years. And then sometimes they go through the program and they're like, man, I feel good. I've got some tools. I can do this on my own, which I totally like, I want them to be able to do that. But if they want to like have a space and make this a part of their consistent routine, like that's an option as well.
Very cool.
I wanted to go back to your original story about being in college and going through all these ups and downs. And then you said that senior year, you kind of had like a mindset shift. What was that? How did that entail? Or like, what was that mindset shift for you?
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know how I skipped over that, because usually I share that. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't. Well, I don't know. It's like went through going so fast, talking so fast. So when I got to Northwestern, in my freshman year, I earned the starting position as a catcher, which was awesome and great. And like, I mean, I was excited, but I also wasn't hitting well in my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. So we're like, now we're into year 3, and I was just like really struggling with the hitting side of things. I was still the starting catcher, but either sometimes I was in the hitting lineup, sometimes I wasn't. If I was, I remember like going up for that first at bat, and I just remember thinking like, okay, like if I don't get a hit, then I'm gonna get pulled, and then that's what would happen, because that's what I was thinking about. So it was just like kind of like this vicious cycle. It was like a giant slump of 3 years, really, to be honest. And I was hitting like a whopping like 130. It was not fun. And I was just so frustrated with myself. And I remember getting to my senior year and just thinking like, gosh, this is like my last year to play at this level. So things that I would tell the girls that have made it to their college experience, like, just go, like, have fun, like, you got there, like, just do it, right? But I got to my senior year, and that's really kind of what I was thinking. I was like, man, I put in so much time and energy, like, I'm really tired of being frustrated with myself and upset and crying when I get back home and things like that. So I was like, this is my last year. I wasn't expecting to play after college. I didn't, but I kind of wish I would. But that's a whole nother story. And I just remember having like these new commitments to myself. Like, I was just gonna go out there and have fun with my teammates and make this last year as much fun as I possibly could. The second thing was, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do my best, even though that's kind of what I was already doing, but it was like a commitment, I guess. But it was the third thing that I remember thinking, and I like looked back at it, and like, I remember telling myself like, okay, whatever happens this year. And it kind of sounds weird, like I don't really care, but I still cared. But it was this shift in mindset that I had. It was like this weight lifted off. Like, I was gonna do my best. I was gonna go have fun, and whatever happened, happened. Like, I was like finally releasing control. So I went in with that kind of different mindset, just thinking differently about myself, thinking differently about success and failure and all of that. And after my senior year, I hit way better, like so much better. I doubled my batting average. I tripled the amount of it. Getting to the end of my senior year and being like, oh, dang, like, wish I would have been thinking like that this whole time, right? Like, so that was kind of annoying, but I'm like, I'm glad it happened. And I'm like, ending on a really high note, but I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, I feel like I peaked. Like, I just finally peaked and I could keep going, but it came to an end. And that's kind of why, 3 years later, I finally figured out like, oh my gosh, I need to show these girls like this can happen for you so much earlier, right? If you start thinking differently, if you learn how to shift your thoughts and control your thoughts, and know that like your thoughts are so important. Like, what I was thinking about myself and how my approach and all of that, like, I was definitely like what they always, we hear it all the time. Like, I was definitely my own worst enemy. And I had to just like get out of my own way. So I didn't know it was happening my senior year. But I remember looking back and being like, okay, that was really different. And like why and how. And so I just kind of used that experience to be able to help these other girls. And through my college experience, I did see a sports psychologist, the sports psychologist that was available. I did not see him nearly enough. I only went when I felt like everything was crap. Like, and I was like struggling, even though I was struggling like a lot. But I remember only going like a handful of times. I didn't, like, I should have been going like every week. Like, I should have been going and using that resource consistently to work on my mindset. Now that, you know, I know what I know now. And we also had like, we had a volunteer coach, or someone came in and did some volunteer work with us when it came to the mental side. She actually played at Northwestern, was a pitcher and stuff, and that was helpful. So I was like getting little bits and pieces, but I definitely wasn't working on my thoughts and my mindset consistently. It was like oh, well, once I fixed my swing, or once I worked my butt off, I feel like, and nothing was changing. Not to say that that didn't help, but it was that, I really truly believe it was that mindset shift and that mental part that made like those things together is what made the difference.
I appreciate you using you said thoughts, because there was a quote I got from, I think it was from your Facebook page. You can't control the first thought, but you have the power to control the next thoughts, and those are the ones that matter. Is that kind of where that came from? Is that kind of,
Yeah,
that
initially I thought like, oh yeah, we can control all our thoughts, like, but like later, actually in this last couple of years, I continue to read and learn and do trainings and stuff, and something that one of these trainings taught me was that we all have this inner judge, this voice inside our mind, which is kind of like a relief, like, oh, it's not actually me, it's this voice that happens inside our brain. It's like the way our brain works. But like when something bad happens or negative happens or we fail, like, we're gonna have negative thoughts. And I think it's just like accepting that and knowing like, oh, those things are gonna come up, those things are gonna happen. Like, when I work with girls, I'm like, I'm not gonna like make your negative thoughts disappear. Like, they're not going anywhere. Like, it'd be kind of weird if you like made a mistake and you were just like, oh, like everything's great all the time. That would be totally weird. So I'm like, the negative thoughts are normal. It's just that voice inside your mind that's like, oh, this doesn't feel good, like this sucks, or whatever. But it's like not allowing those thoughts to control the remainder of the day or the remainder of the game or that bat. It's like, okay, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, but that's not like my truth. And it's then, shifting, what do you want to think about? What do you want to believe? Rather than letting those thoughts take control, those negative thoughts take control. And it just takes practice. And it's just like being able to shift those things in those hard moments, which is challenging. It's definitely not an easy thing to do, especially when it means a lot to you.
Let's transition. I think, Lacey, were you going to ask something? It sounded like
No, I just can relate to that. Also, I started going to our sports psychologist here, I think my like end of freshman, beginning of sophomore year. And I mean, there was definitely a significant shift my sophomore year. I think I thrive off competition, right? But I definitely cared, but I think I cared a little too much, to the point where I was so upset when we would lose, and I would have all these negative thoughts and blame myself for a lot of things, and just like reflect on one game for like the next like 3 days and see how could I change this? How could I do that? But in the end, it's like the game happened, and now you have another game. You have another series this weekend to look forward to. So
yeah,
definitely definitely a shift. This year has definitely been a lot better in mindset, I feel like, but the performance isn't kind of adding up. So that's where I'm struggling. So I'm going into my senior year. So that's kind of why I asked about like your mindset shift going into your senior year. I have been reflecting on like how it is my last year playing softball, and I mean it's daunting a little bit, but I don't want it to be daunting. I want it to be fun and carefree, and you know.
Yeah, totally. I know. I look back at that my senior year, and I was like, wow, that really could have gone two different ways. Could have been like, oh, this is my last year, and put like even more pressure on myself, or it could have been like, it was like, luckily I chose somehow. It wasn't on purpose. I really feel like I just got lucky, to be honest. Was like, okay, well, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm just gonna go out and do my best and like let go. So luckily I went down that one and not the pressure, like putting even more pressure on myself. And really, like Lacey, it was like I just had to let go of like my batting average. Like I was so obsessed with the batting average and like the statistics and what those things like said about me, because I wanted to be remembered. I wanted to leave a legacy. I wanted to like leave my impact there. And it was actually like hindering my ability to just go out there and play and do what I knew how to do. So I finally like let go of the whole batting average statistic stuff and was like, just gonna go out there and hit and play. And like really honestly, keeping it so simple. Like see the ball, hit the ball. Like it's not hard. Like it's easy. Like, and that was a shift in thinking too. Like instead of being like, oh, like hitting is so hard. I feel like everyone's like, oh, hitting's like the hardest thing in softball and baseball, which, you know, it is. It's like actually proven that it's one of the harder things in sports. But if I keep telling myself it's hard, that's what I'm going to think about and what I'm going to believe. So instead I was like, no, hitting is easy. Like, it's like, you know, you put the barrel of the bat on the ball. Like, that's it. Like, instead of overcomplicating it and thinking about all of the adjustments and things like that. Of course, like, you're going to make adjustments and stuff. But especially in game time, just like, go hit. It's just like, just hit. Go hit. Do what you've already, your body knows what to do, and allow yourself to do that. So I think those are maybe some more finite details that happened in my senior year. And then I also, as I've continued to like coach and mentor, we tend to overcomplicate things way too much.
Way too much. Yep. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of self-reflect, you know, what you focus on expands. So, you know, if you focus on the negative things, and you typically will expand instead of, and that's what you talk about, the mindset issues. And it's probably what the techniques that you use with these girls is, if you focus on, you know, positive things, then those things are going to expand, and you'll gain more confidence over time, right? Rather than focusing on what you're not getting, which are hits, or what you're not, you know, making those free throws. You know, if you focus on not making a free throw, then that's all that's going to happen. You're going to you're going to keep missing free throws. I want to transition to the parent training thing that I'm not sure when you started. It seems like you started it fairly new or fairly recent. Talk a little bit about that, because this is a parent-daughter, so that intrigued me as well, as far as, because I don't know if you've listened to any of my earlier podcasts, but I was not the best father to Lacey when she was younger. I put a lot of pressure on her because there was pressure on me to have her look good, and so there was a lot of issues with me putting a lot of pressure on her to perform, which put a lot of pressure on herself to perform. So kind of touch on the parent training and what that looks like.
Definitely. And I think that's super, super common. Like my own dad was really hard on me. And I talk about it a lot. And it's not like I'm throwing him under the bus. Like he was just doing the best he could in the way that he knew. and sometimes that was like by being hard on me because he knew it was like what I was capable of. So that maybe, how he did it probably wasn't the best for my mentality, right? But like, I have to go back and look at that too, and I can't like dwell on like, oh, like there was a lot of butting heads and stuff, but he also, if I didn't have him doing that, like, would I have made it to the college level? I don't know. Maybe not. Like, because it really did push me to my limits, sometimes in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way. So just, giving all the parents a little grace and
Right.
that as well. I know it can be a hard dynamic for sure. But anyway, so I have a parent training. I over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this, I've done tons of parent trainings. I've done like live parent trainings over Zoom live. So I have gotten to meet with a lot of parents. I've gotten like tons of feedback. And so what I basically did was like, okay, I'm going to put together a recorded training that kind of put all those pieces together and the most valuable things for those parents. And we talk about just like helping their daughter be the most confident version of themselves, how to get out of her own way, stop being her worst enemy, to be that confident athlete they know she's capable of being. We talk about how to get past the fear of failure, because that's a big one. And then like not worrying what everyone else is thinking, kind of like what we were talking about, Lacey, earlier with the middle school girls. But to be totally honest, all of those things, I give like tools and things that you guys can do, parent to daughter. But I believe that having that third party mentor can be really beneficial. Like at the end of the day, like I would love to be that voice, that second voice, because I don't know why as humans, I guess, we just like don't hear the same things from our parents as we do from other people. We have to like have other mentors in our life. I wish that we just listen to our parents. That would be like way more simple, right? Like I look back and I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have listened to what you said about that, mom, or because my mom was like the really positive, like gentle one. And I'm like, I wish I would have just been listening to what you said, how I should be thinking about myself, but I didn't, of course. So sometimes we just have to hear it from other people. And at the end of that training, I do share like, if you really want someone to be in her life, like doing that, I can be that person. Like I would love to be that person to help your daughter and have that, like start working on the mental part of the game more consistently and working on mindset more consistently. Like Lacey, we were having that conversation about going to a sports psychologist, and it's like we probably shouldn't just go when things are tough or like we're like in the hole. I believe that we should be going consistently, and because even when things are good, all of a sudden we're like, oh, we don't have to do the hard work anymore. And then when we stop doing the hard work, all of a sudden it's like, everything's falling apart again. And then we go in this like crazy little cycle. But so at the end of that, I do, talk about like, okay, the Confident Athlete program would be a great way to start working at this more consistently, and for her to hear this from not just you, but from me as well. But yeah, and then I have that for the parents. And then actually, Lacey, I don't know if you've grabbed, I have a free guide for athletes. And you were making me think about this, because in there I talk about visualization. And I talk about it like visualizing, like creating visualizations like up in your mind, and I have like a guided visualization, like a voice recording of myself guiding. But in that guide, I talk about video, like the power of video and visualization, which I think could be really helpful for really any athletes now, because I feel like you guys use so much video to improve, and like just like technology is like so much more advanced even from when I graduated. It's a lot long ago, but it's still like gotten a lot more. Like there's so much more technology, especially in softball. I mean, I don't totally know the tech in some of the other sports, but I feel like we use video a little too much as athletes for, oh, I need to do this, or my elbow wasn't here. Like it's like all the like negative things, like what we're not doing, which is good, right? Like that's how you learn. That's how you see that we can use that as a tool to improve. But I think we should also be adding like positive video. Like I feel like we don't look at like I should have been watching myself hit a home run like over and over again. Right? Like I still there's a YouTube video of me hitting a home run. I think it was in like the Big Ten tournament or something, and it like makes me feel so happy and like so good. And so I think we should be using a lot more of like those, like kind of like a hype video. And that's exactly what's in that free guide for the athletes, is to create like your own confidence video, your own confidence like hype reel basically, and watch that before games, rather than like thinking like, oh, I have all these things that I still need to work on, or that I'm improving on, or that swing wasn't that great there. Or even for pitchers, like I remember going through so much video with pitchers, and they're like, oh, you missed the spot by this much, this is why she got the hit. It's like, okay, yeah, like we could go through that all day long, but what about all those good pitches? Like, what about that strikeout? Or like, let's kind of like keep watching those. I do some work for an organization called Positive Coaching Alliance, and one of the things that they teach is for coaches is it's the magic ratio, and it's four. Okay, now I'm drawing a blank. No, it's like pregnancy brain maybe, but it's like 5-1 or something. 5 positive comments to 1 negative comment. I think it's the same with video. Like, let's watch 5 good videos to 1 negative video. It's kind of like a way to explain it, I guess. So that's what that free guide for athletes is. It's using video as like a visualization tool to positively see and create confidence for yourself going into games.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, because Lace, I think you used that strategy either earlier this year when you had a bad game, and then you visualized some of the good games that you've had, and then you came back and did well. So that sounds like, yeah, it sounds like a great thing that you use, right, Lace?
I mean, I have used it in the past. I don't know if I've done it right, because I would watch myself do good, maybe watch some like strikeout highlights from Twitter or something like that. And sometimes it would work, but other times I feel like when I would go out, I would tell myself like, if I don't look like I did in that video, then like I didn't get any better. Like it didn't work, basically. Like pretty much adding pressure to myself to be as good as I was in that video. So there's pros and cons for me with it, I feel like. So I mean, I do go back and watch film on myself if I did have a good game. I mean, even with the good games, there's going to be hits, there's going to be some bad pitches, some walks. So I feel like, yeah, just with me, it's a little bit pros and cons. I haven't done it in a while. Just trying to be more of a free spirit, I'd say, when I'm playing, but
Mhm.
also a competitor, which is trying to find the balance is kind of harsh and hard, but that's where
Yeah,
I am.
definitely. I feel like with what, like, just kind of what you're sharing, you know, maybe it's watching those highlights of yourself before. And then, because I totally get, like, sometimes you're like, but if I don't look like that, I'm not gonna get the hit. So I think we have to match, like, our thoughts also with the video, or like the visualization, right? So seeing it and then writing down, like my swing right where it is right now is more than enough. Or like I can hit um like I can hit even if my swing isn't perfect. Like it, I mean, how many times have you gotten a hit and you're like, I don't even know how that happened, but I'm glad it did. Or like you see like a girl and she's like the ugliest swing ever, and you're like, how did she even hit that ball? It was like, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? We like that's definitely been proven. We see it all the time. So it's like reminding yourself you don't have to be perfect to get great hits in a game too. So, and then that hopefully will relieve some pressure too. But it's kind of like aligning your thoughts with the video as well, rather than like, so you notice like, oh, I'm putting more pressure on myself by telling myself that about the video. That's when you can be like, oh, I need to shift the way I'm thinking about the video. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So just kind of just some thoughts. This is good.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So if again, I love it because you do both the parent side and the athlete side. Where, because we have both, right? That listen to this podcast, we have both parents and athletes both listen to it. So where could they find you if they wanted to maybe reach out to you? And I don't know if you are accepting new clients or if you're, but how could they reach you to maybe work with you?
Yeah, definitely. So you can always go to my website, paigetonz.com. That's where I have like all of those resources as well. So you can get your hands on those. But there's literally at the top like a work with me button. And when you go there, you can learn like a bunch of stuff about my program. But you can like actually access it right there and then. But there's also always an option to schedule a call, because
Mhm.
I always love to be able to chat, because there's always going to be questions and things like that. So you can always schedule a call with me, set up some time that we can chat and learn a little bit more, and then we can always make that decision from there. So yeah.
Very cool. Any parting thoughts, questions? We're gonna jet out of here. Do you have anything that you want to add? Do you want to have any questions for us?
Oh man. No, I think that like one of the things that's like stuck with me for such a long time is actually a coach post college, through like business and mindset and stuff, that said to me, that's just like really stuck with me and I felt like was really powerful, is um that like if you're ever like feeling afraid or worried or like not enough, like she just reminded me like I could always bet on myself. And I was like, actually you're kind of right, like I'm not gonna let myself down. Like even if I run into mistakes or failures and things like that, I'm not just gonna like give up and give in. I've never done that in my whole life before. So just remembering that you can always bet on yourself. I think that was always helpful advice for me.
Very cool. Lace,
Yeah.
you're good?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to my dad about this too. I think my sophomore year, I've said before, like I feel like I'm letting you guys down, and above all, I feel like I'm letting myself down, like the little girl in 8U that just loves softball so much. So, but I feel like I've let go of that a little bit more this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's definitely important to kind of move on in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'm not going to be playing softball forever. It's almost over. I can't I can't change anything in the past, so just moving forward right now and being more present, I feel like has been the most important thing for me, like recently. So it
Really.
makes sense what you said about betting on yourself makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
what we've been finding through other past athletes that their senior year, there's a couple of different ways they can go. They're crying because the season is going to end and their softball careers are going to end. So they're very emotional about that, right? Because
Mhm.
either they had a really positive experience, they don't want it to end, or you have the other one where they're like, "Thank God this is over. Like, get me out of here." Like either
Yeah.
is they had a poor experience or maybe this didn't play well. Um, talk a little bit about that kind of mindset and how would somebody like Lacey, who's going to be entering her senior year, not get caught up in the negative thoughts as far as thank God this is over, rather than looking back and enjoying the process or enjoying her time there?
Yeah. I think it's just like it's like looking back and being like, man, like you've spent countless hours into putting into this game, and just I think like just thinking about how like what the game's done for you and given to you, even in play, like being an athlete and competing and all of that, even if you've had like a negative college experience or something like that, like there's still going to be things that have made you who you are and like helped you become a better person or like more resilient or whatever it is. Like even if you were not playing at all, like that still shows that you stuck through it, like you worked hard, like I think that makes sense. But it's like looking at the positive things and the things that you can be grateful for and how those things are going to help you in your future. And those experiences you can use those as stories and what's the word I'm looking for? Like uh, leverage in whatever your next step might be in your life, in your career, and what you want to do, or even being a mom. Like the things that I went through in college, I'm like, man, like actually, this is kind of a good example. I've had multiple people tell me, like, and people that know me pretty well at this point, like, they're like, well, you're like really mentally strong, like more mentally strong than me, or maybe it's like my sister or something when it comes to um, motherhood, because it's put me through like it has been a mental challenge, like an adjustment. Okay. And when they've said that, like, oh, you're just really mentally strong, like you're able to like overcome a lot of those things much easier than so and so or me or whatever. And like that's like a huge like compliment, I feel like. And I don't think that I would be able to be, or like that people would see that from me or know that about me if it wasn't for the tough experiences that I've had as an athlete. So I think like it's hard to see when you're in like that senior year of like, oh, how's this going to help me as a mom? Like, I definitely was not thinking about that at all because I knew I wanted to wait to have children till a little bit later. But it's just like crazy to see how it's like what it's given me and how it's made me stronger, better, more resilient, all these different things in my life after, even like relationships and all sorts of things. So
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's probably going to help. Whether you go into the workforce, your W-2 is probably going to help, right?
mhm.
I'm sure it's helped you in your entrepreneurial um, adventures as well, right? Just
Yeah.
when things aren't going so well, it's like, hey, I've been there, I've been there, done that. This is no big
Totally.
deal. Very cool. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed you and your insight as far as mindset. We haven't really dived into a lot of mindset stuff, right, Lace? We've just been kind of going through your your growing up in the softball
Mhm.
arena. This was good. I think this is the perfect timing, right, Lace, as far as
Yeah.
what's currently going on in your season and how you're performing. So this was I think this is a perfect episode for her to kind of end her junior year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited for you. I think that you can definitely turn this senior year into something really great. So, and if you ever need anything, please reach out. Your dad has my email, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't hesitate to reach out, or even on Instagram, like in messages there. Like, I would love to help and support any way I can.
So other social media. So we got the website and so Instagram. I know you mentioned on Facebook you kind of were going against social media for a while. I don't know if you're back on it. If you're
Yeah, I used to be like, oh my gosh, I've got to post like 4 or 5 times a week, every single week. Motherhood again changed that and shifted that, but that was like another thing. Like, oh, like letting go of control. It's okay. Like people are still finding me. It's fine. But yeah, I'm like still active on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. I just 3 years ago I was on it like every single day.
All right. Very cool. Again, it's nice meeting you. Thank you for coming on, and we'll catch everybody on the other side. Lace, I love you.
Thank you, Paige.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay.